So I'm really excited to have you on, Chris. I'm on with Chris Perilli. He is the head and founder and owner of Pixel Mob, digital media company, and we have kind of been circling around each other's, stratosphere for probably 15 years or so.
Definitely.
Since I seen you working, I think the first place that I saw you was working with Joe DeFranco, and that was a long time ago now. And since then, obviously, we've always kind of followed each other and kept. I see what you're doing. His brand has grown tremendously. I think the quality of the work that you put out then was great. Now it's obviously like professional, video
Thank you.
commercial quality. It's as good as anything I see on TV and so forth. And he's really built a reputation, in kind of fitness, and that's why I wanted to have you on the business of strength, because like a lot of the stuff that you put out there, Chris, is related to gym owners, martial arts studios, and stuff like that. So tell everybody a little bit about you and the brand, and kind of your gravitation towards the fitness side of things too.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, thank you for having me on. Yeah, we've been connecting for many years, and so the way that we got started, my company's name is Pixel Mob, and over the last 16 years, we have worked with a who's list of influencers and killers inside the fitness industry, martial arts, combat sports, and also outside of it. We've worked with Tim Ferriss, we've worked with WuTang Clan, and
Sweet.
during this time, I've coached over thousands of people to just get up online, make better videos, make videos that actually sell their product and service easier and better, and connect with people. The way that we got started, it was I was training with a guy named Mike Hanley, and I was lifting with him. And one day he came over to me, and before all this, like even before the creative endeavors, I worked on Wall Street till 9/11, and then 9/11 hit. I was a couple blocks away. My wife was working in the towers, and I decided, like, okay, I'm going to pursue my calling in life, my creativity. So we were doing at the time, like 2007 and whatnot. We were pretty much doing video for everybody, dentists, whatever. And I was training with Mike Hanley, and he hit me up one day, and he's like, listen, I want to create a program to sell. At that time, we were selling them on DVDs, right? And they were mailing out DVDs. So I was like, okay, cool. He's like, because my buddy, and I believe he was talking about at the time, Alan Cosgrove.
Yep.
And he's like, my buddy made like $100,000. I was like, oh, in a year? And he's like, no, bro, in a week. And I was like, wait, what? So I was like, okay, this piqued my interest. So we go ahead.
Sit up a little straighter when you hear
yeah,
100 grand
exactly.
in a
I was
week.
like
Like, what? Say
$100,000
what?
in a week. Oh, this is some serious money. So we put together a trailer for him. We put together a program, and it did really good. And then from there, Smitty hit me up. And he said he's working with Joe DeFranco, and he had some project that they wanted to do. And we came down. We did the Power Project, and we were off to the races. They sold, I think, double or triple what they sold before. And I knew that, like, we had a good understanding of like what the industry was looking for in those individual markets. And since then, I've been on a mission to just perfect this process that we've been using over. And ironically, it's the same process that we use with all different types of businesses, but to perfect this process. And it's funny too, because now, especially if you're running ads for your gym and stuff, the way that ad platforms have changed over the last year or two is that since iOS 14 kind of knocked us off the horse,
right,
everything is going broad, and the ad platforms, the algorithms are like more and more automated. So targeting doesn't become the focus anymore. It's about creating a message that connects with your audience.
Sure.
And that's what we do.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I love it. And so in the scheme of the marketing, like, let's call it process, right? One of the things that I always harp on a lot of the gym owners, we're always been really big on email, because email has always given us a stable way to market that isn't as, let's call it, influenced by the ebbs and flows of changes in social media laws and regulations and things like that, right? So we've always been huge from day one on collecting emails and then segmenting those emails and utilizing our email list, right? Which a lot of gyms don't do very well and have, like, they basically just have their members on an email list,
Right.
and that's it. But one of the things that we're really big on is creating the messaging and the words behind the brand, right? And I think because people buy from companies that they trust and that are saying things that resonate with them. Whether
Yeah.
it's a badass fighter who wants to train at a great competitive jujitsu gym, or an out of shape mom who hasn't seen the inside of a gym in 20 years. You basically have to say something that gets them to kind of go, oh man, that sounds exactly what I need. It sounds that sounds like it could really help me. How do you help bring that process to life? How do you translate the words into a video that really captures people's emotions?
That's a great question. And to be straight with you, I would say 65 to 70% of all of our income and sales come from email marketing. From day one, that was the biggest thing that we've focused on is algorithms are finicky. Social media is finicky. What's to tell you a quick story. When we worked with Ghostface of WuTang, he has
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was a
It's
very,
so awesome.
very fun project. So we worked with him about 3 years, and he has about 3 to 4 million followers online, but he had no email whatsoever. And I was like, guys, the money is in the emails, right?
Yeah.
You could put what's ironic about social media too is the algorithms are so finicky. I can put out a message that I created in my studio that I spent, I don't know, 2-3 hours producing, and then it'll get, X amount of views or whatever. I make a video with my phone of following planes in my back, and it went viral.
It
right?
goes
So
nuts.
there's no rhyme or reason to how algorithms work. So you can't bank your income and your money on that finickiness, right? So it's really important, even if you grow a big following online, to get them onto an email list. And that was our first thing is we were like, okay, listen, you guys can post stuff all day long and you might get sales, but you're going to get so much more sales coming from email. So let's work to put together a video and drive them to an opt-in page that gets them on the email list. So then we can speak to them on the email list. And I'll tell you, the backbone of all video is being able to write well, is being able to script well and communicate ideas, right? So for instance, and this leads into some of the process that we use, I find that gym owners, not just gym owners, not just martial arts school owners, just entrepreneurs in general, they don't fully understand what makes their audience and the people who are buying from them tick. What is the driving force behind it? If you can articulate people's problems better than they can understand them, your message will resonate with them a whole lot better than,
I love that. I love that. Can you repeat that? If you can articulate people's problems better than they understand them.
Yes.
Themselves.
So that's something that I've said for
amazing.
a long time. If you can articulate people's problems better than they can understand them, they will listen to you and they will feel like you really understand them. And going back to your point, right? That's the foundation of this is building trust, is that this person kind of understands what I'm going through. Maybe he's been through it himself and possibly has a solution to help me fix this.
Yeah.
I thought you cut out for a second. Okay, cool.
Nope.
So that's a really key point. So the basis of all video is being able to write in short form what it is that you're trying to say, what it is, the problems that these people have, and how you relate to that and how you can fix it. Right. So
awesome.
the magic in this is that you could write a script, which becomes a blog post, which becomes an email, which becomes a short form content. That's what we do. We try to, like, anytime I write, I usually start out by writing an email first.
Me too. That's we talk about, like, we call it unused capacity. And I think because a lot of people, like, I talk to so many, now obviously my space is the gym owner space, right? And we have the consulting side of that. And in that space, it seems like people are doing so much more work than they have to, totally unique emails every time, totally unique social media posts. And we call it unused capacity. Write the long form email, which is all the ideas that you're trying to convey, and then clip down to, 40 different platforms and different variations and so forth. That's great.
That's the exact same process pretty much that we use. It's because you do a brain dump, right? You get all the ideas out, and then you could literally look at that and use that long form for for 2 months, taking
Yeah.
pieces out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think a lot of people don't realize like, especially for social media. It's one thing if you write like a really good blog every month, like you have a monthly newsletter that goes out and it's a very like well-written critiqued piece that you put out every month, which a lot of gym owners do a nice job with that. But like social media, most of what it is people look at it's tidbits, right? People want quick tips, tricks, tools, and or they something that's going to capture their eye. And I think that's something that you've done really well is the eye catchiness of the video side of things and really like again translating words into emotion via video. So tell me a little bit about the creative side. Once we get the words down pat and we have a good script, what happens next on the marketing side with you guys?
So usually if we're filming or if somebody else is filming, we coach them to film, where we break down specifically what we're trying to say first, right? And that's the most key point of it. What are we trying to say? What are we trying to show? So if I was to give you an example of like moms, soccer moms, or 40-year-old moms and above who are trying to get back into shape.
Right.
What is it that they need to hear and see that will really move the needle for them? And then from there, once we have the script, another process that we use is like we get social proof and ask people questions and have them send in testimonials, which we then cut in with B-roll. So the key of it all is the first 5 seconds of all videos is the make or break stage. If you don't capture their attention in 5 seconds, that they're gone. And
Right.
the problem that happens in specifically like IG and Facebook is you're not hearing anything. So it has to be visual stimulation that captures somebody's attention, stops them from scrolling to see and watch more.
Is that why you see now, like, because a lot of people are doing like the videos, which I just did one, like the guy, my social media guy was like, let's do a couple of these videos, right? Or it's like the split screen where it's like you're critiquing somebody else's video. And that's why polarity sells so well on social media. Like somebody, you got to come out and say lifting weights is total bullshit. It's going to make you fat, right? Is there something that's like, they come out with something outlandish in that first sentence? Is that why you see so much of that in social media? Is because people are trying to get that, let's call it, they're trying to create that stimulus to action right away?
Yeah, so that's considered what's called in the video world is called a pattern interrupt. And they're trying to do it. So Gary V back in the day used to do it by putting his hand up and having a stop sign, stop, 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 right? There's the polarity and the controversy and the Andrew Tates and stuff like that.
Yep.
And
Grant
then
Cardone's
there's also
big
like
on that all the time. Yeah, does a lot of that stuff.
And so then there's also another way that we handle it with using like impactful, flashy, action-based video, right? The first 5 clips, I want to show like the first 5 seconds, I want to show anywhere from 5 to 7 clips of boom, 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 and maybe some transitions that are flashy enough that gets people to stop what they're doing and be like, okay, what's going on? And also too, in those 5 seconds, if you could lay out what the video is about in those 5 seconds and have some context that what they're going to see, even for instance, if you say, lifting weights is total bullshit, then that in the first 5 seconds, they're like, wait, hold up. What? And that will stop them. So that's a pattern interrupt. It's trying to get people to stop from their zombie scrolling. Facebook in
Zombie
Belgium,
scroll.
they had a conference about 4 years ago in Belgium where all of the highest execs of Facebook and social media experts came together. And they did a study that every single day we scroll the length of the Statue of Liberty with our thumb in terms of just scrolling
Distance,
through our feed, right?
Like 3 inches at a time, 2 inches at a time.
Insane. And obviously, I don't even know if I have to say this, but where do you think the number one room that happens in?
The number one room is probably the bedroom. People laying in bed at night.
It's the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. That was gonna be number 2, literally. No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. So people are just like, the way that they consume
But there's
media
more people.
on.
What I really take from this is that more people need to keep some sanitizer
They
spray
definitely
next to
got to clean their phones.
their keep that phone clean for God's sakes.
Yes, definitely. Um, so like the way that people consume content online is not the same way. So when you sit down with a book, right? You sit down because you're going to read page to page to page. But
Yes.
when you're online, you're surfing,
Yes. Yeah, you're
right? So
skimming.
there's
You're
a
not
different.
really looking or reading. You're waiting to catch something.
Correct. And the same thing goes with videos. Like something has to stop and grab your attention, or you're just going to fly right by it.
Right. That makes lots of sense. I think and it's weird. It's weird what catches your eye. So I've seen such a huge shift. So let's talk specifically about ad spend and the process, which most people are quasi familiar with, which is obviously like Facebook, Instagram, paid ads. Can you tell me a difference in what you see, or what are some pros, cons, or compare and contrast between Facebook and Instagram ads? Now I see people and I'm getting employed by LinkedIn to run ads on LinkedIn versus Google ads. Are they all similar variations of the same thing, or are there differences that you want to portray with your media?
Yeah, so I really won't speak on LinkedIn ads because I haven't really messed with them too much. Especially in my space, it really hasn't seemed to take off. But I have spent a lot of time with Facebook IG
Yep.
ads and also to YouTube ads. So YouTube ads, the power in YouTube ads is people are coming to watch video. They're
Yes.
watching video. They're there to watch video, right?
It's almost as if it's like someone that's going to sit down and watch a bunch of Netflix. They're going there to actually see something.
Exactly. And the videos
Okay.
also play the first 5 seconds with sound. So you
Mm,
have that advantage going for you, right? Also, too, the other thing is that you can then make the case of in the first 5 seconds because you can't skip for 5 seconds, right? When it comes to the ad to skipping the ads. Some ads you can't even skip till they play through. But
correct.
the first 5 seconds really has to be about context and like what the hook is and what this ad is about, right?
Okay.
When it comes to Facebook and Instagram, people are not there to watch video. While it is some of the biggest platforms now for video, they're there to do a lot of other things, right?
Right.
Whether it's connect with friends, start flaming wars about politics. There's a whole bunch of different outlets that people can have in these platforms. So the way that we create video for YouTube is slightly different because we put the hook at the beginning on YouTube. But for Facebook and IG, pattern interrupts are the most important part. And now the way that things are the trajectory of how ads are going is we find that for many years, square videos were the way that Facebook was optimizing your ads. And now we're finding vertical videos because they match the reel algorithm, right? So
Yes.
IG Reels, Facebook Reels, and the power in this is that you can make short form content, which are reel based, vertical, and they can live on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and Instagram. And you don't really have to make different pieces of content anymore.
You mean specifically by shooting with an iPhone, like a cell phone,
Correct.
straight up,
Yeah.
like just straight up.
Yes.
That's how we do all our videos now because it's just exactly what you said. It just I don't have to shoot multiple videos. It just fits more platforms.
It fits more platforms. And the crazy part about it is when I first started doing this, right? Like 12 years ago, I used to tell everybody, guys, you got to turn your phone because the camera, the TVs and monitors are all this way. It never took off. So for somebody who's a filmmaker, it goes against everything I've ever learned in terms of filming this way. But nobody really got to the whole message of like turning their phones. They still watch it this way. So that's why the vertical video just took off.
Yeah. I think and that's why you saw platforms, I think, like TikTok, obviously, which has exploded. Because they just made everything super easy and they want that fresh content. And for some reason they did whatever they did a masterful job of attracting that like 12 to 18-year-old demographic, which they're like frenzied about it. I mean, I literally cannot go to a park anymore without seeing a couple little girls like off to the side dancing and doing a video and stuff like that. It's hilarious, and but it's crazy to see. So in my time, right? I've seen such a huge change in the ad spend too. So let's specifically talk about Facebook and Instagram, where, if we were advertising on Facebook, um, let's call it 5, 6, 7 years ago, my $100 went, I mean, I might be wrong numbers wise, but it seems like it went 10 times as far as it does today. Like my $100 today literally goes nowhere. It's
Right.
like peanuts, right? So where I used to be able to spend, $10 a day on ads 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I'd get lots of leads, now I have to spend, 30, 40, sometimes more, upwards of a few thousand a month, right, to get the same type of action. What's the deal there, and what's changed? Is it primarily because there's just so many more people advertising on the platform?
So many more people advertising on the platform. Even to tell you a little story, like back 7, 8 years ago, when I was running my Facebook page, we were hitting millions of reach, millions. My Facebook page barely has, any reach anymore, unless you're running actual paid ads. Also, too, because ironically, over the last 2 years, we've seen a dip in terms of pricing with Facebook.
Yep.
Since the pandemic, prices went to the floor for a while. Then they bolted back up, and then they're slowly starting to gradually fall because Facebook is trying to combat what Apple did, which was having the privacy setting where people could opt out. So Facebook's combat to that was the conversion API. But here's what I'm finding, right? So lead forms are a great thing to use if you're using Facebook ads. Also, purchases and sales conversions are going to be the highest costs of your ads. And also, too, we're finding and this is why messaging and video is so powerful now, because I would say compared to 7, 8 years ago, the consumer is super savvy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their
Mm-hmm.
BS meter is at an all-time high. They don't trust people. So just running cold ads to hey, sign up for our trial doesn't necessarily always work the way it did before.
No, that I think. Do you think that's mostly just because now? I mean, look, especially in this metro tri-state area where we live, right? I mean, I had a Zoom call with our consulting group yesterday, and we were talking about just sales in general, creating your sales process, right? And I said, how many people in the last 7 days have gotten at least one text message and at minimum 10 emails selling them something? And everybody raised their hand. I mean, it's like you're just getting bombarded all day with shit.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And so you become literally immune to it. I mean,
Numb, yeah.
you become numb to it. Well, I mean, I'm driving and my Waze pops up. Hey, there's a 2-for-1 Dunkin' Donuts thing, and there's on the side of now they have LED billboards, and you just become so numb from everybody pitching you. So that's why I think a good positioning, and I'll say this, that we're testing out some stuff like with awareness ads where we're not actually trying to pitch. We're not trying to really sell anybody anything. We're just trying to talk more about the problem, right? Talk more about the problem that people have. Going back to what I said earlier is if you can articulate the problem, people's ears perk up, right?
Yeah.
So if you could get somebody some small win, or you can articulate a problem around something they're dealing with, and you get them a small win, they start to trust you before they even. I'm a big advocate of trying to give as much value before the sale, right? And then by the time that you get to the point of pitching, you've already given them so much that they're like, I mean, I've gotten so much from this guy already that imagine when I spend some money with him, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's where we're going. Also, to personalization and segmentation, like you said earlier, is so key right now. The days of sending mass email blasts out to everybody, you got to really segment your list. You got to really start talking to people where they're at. Because I'll be honest with you, I've run ads and I've had things where people have opted into my funnel and haven't bought anything for 2.5 years. And then they finally buy after 2.5 years of opening emails and reading my stuff. So not everybody.
I have a story saying 10 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
A mom who we trained her kid when he was 11 or 12, fast forward a decade, a mom writes me back in an email. I've been getting your email since, little Johnny was there in high school. And I always thought you guys, did such a great job with my kids. I always see your 6-week transformation emails. I finally said, you know what? The kids are out of the house. I finally have some time for myself. I'm going to do this. And it's like 10 years later. It's like, so you never know where those leads are coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too is I think that the internet has like it's a gift and a curse, right?
Yeah.
Where social media specifically, there are so many experts that they could just pop up and say they're an expert and have all this, like these props around them, and people who don't really dig deep enough
Yeah.
can believe them and get burnt and then feel like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not buying off of the net, or I'm not buying off people. And I know that, hiring coaches over the years, I've had some amazing coaches and amazing masterminds. And then I've had some that were like, what am I really paying for here? Right. So I think that that's a big thing. Trust is a big thing. And the more ways that you can get out in front of people and figure out ways that you can give good value and talk about the problem, the more they'll eventually trust you.
So when you say running an awareness ad, you're basically like, let's say I was going to run an awareness ad, it'd just be like, hey, this one's for all the busy moms out there. Here's 3 awesome tips for winning your fitness with a crazy hectic schedule, right? Something like that, right? Whatever it is, right? And it's just something along those lines where I'm literally I'm helping them solve a problem. I'm giving them some value. We run paid ads to it. And is it more like a super signature, like a PS? Hey, whenever you're ready to, tackle your fitness, we'd love to hear from you.
No, I'd actually do it in a slightly different way. What I would do is say, okay, so say these are the 3 exercises, right? That or like this little, hey, this is a training routine that we give to people who are, let's just say it. I'm trying to make it pertinent to the gym, like couldn't come to the class this week and were traveling or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And these are the 3 exercises. I'm going to show you one exercise here. And if you want the rest of the training, just connect with me and drop a comment below, and I'll connect with you in Messenger. And that's it. Essentially, now you got FaceTime with them, right?
Right. Just trying to open a conversation.
Exactly. And the more connectivity that you can get with them in FaceTime, where you can message them back and forth, the better. Like those leads that you start to actually have active conversations with.
Yes.
Seem to convert a lot better than somebody just clicking your link, downloading your PDF, and then you having to follow up with emails that are, that you have an automation or whatever the case may be.
I love that, Chris. I love that. Yeah, that sounds a lot like a direct response email, but using it on the digital ad side.
Exactly. And the crazy part about it is you only really have to run $5 a day to it. Whereas because, like leads, you got to run at least 30 to 50.
Why so much cheaper?
I think because it's so from what I understand with Facebook, when they're trying to actively find the people who are going to buy, they have to do a lot more data, like deep diving in the sense of the algorithm of finding like, okay, who's been looking to purchase stuff, who's been clicking on these type of things,
right?
Like who's in market right now, because Google has something similar to like somebody who's actively looking. And that's the other thing with YouTube, which makes it so powerful, is you go to YouTube for one of 2 things. You want to learn something, or you want to buy something, right? Or maybe you want to binge on some content, right? But those are the 2 real reasons that people usually go to YouTube. My lawn, I was like, when I was doing my lawn this weekend, I was on YouTube half the day trying to find like, how do I patch this? How do I thatch this? Right. So that's like a big thing. And I guess the awareness ads are like not being used as much as like conversion ads, right? So conversion ads are going to be more costly. And we find that now at this point, like most gyms have to run like $30 to $50 a day.
Yeah.
Or more. And hope for the best. And like lead forms, sometimes they work really good. And now there was a change that really.
I was just going to ask you about that, whether a lead form or a squeeze page is kind of your preference. Like, what's your preference there?
So now 2023, definitely lead form. However, there's two caveats to that. One, anybody. So we were running lead form ads for a while, and people would just, I was targeting gyms, and we were getting musicians. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want musicians, right? So the other issue that I'm seeing too is that squeeze pages used to be really good, but anytime I feel like you leave Facebook, they charge you more money, right? They don't want you to leave because it makes sense. The more you're here, the more money they make by you seeing ad impressions. Lead forms are really good. So there was a recent change in Facebook where, and this impacts local gyms and local martial arts schools, where you used to be able to select in targeting options people who lived in an area. That's all being degraded to
Right.
people who live in or recently in, meaning you could have stayed there, you could have went to a restaurant there. So we have to see how that plays out, because that may or may not hurt small businesses. Because, for instance, we had a situation where we were running ads and they were going a little bit too far out. Facebook kept looking too far out of
Demographically, you mean
right.
too
So
far
people are
away?
not going to travel 20 miles, right, to come train. Usually not. Sometimes they
No,
will.
only if it's a specialty thing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So that is a recent change that has happened, and we got to see how that actually plays out.
Oh, that I mean that's interesting because again, this is why again, social media. You're talking to the media guy, but we've already the very first thing you said was secure your email as well, right? And make sure that you have
Absolutely.
strong marketing on all fronts. Can you give me like a kind of like let's pretend I know nothing about marketing and we're speaking to all the gym owners and studio owners out there who are trying to do it on their own and they're, I got a degree in exercise science. I never took a business class in my life and now I'm trying to run a business, train people and be a digital marketing expert. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What is the low hanging fruit of marketing for most small businesses, and what should they be focusing the majority of their attention on?
So I feel that sometimes a lot of gym owners will teach more. They keep teaching, right?
Like more classes, more schedule, more training sessions.
And even their giveaways, like, is
Yep.
more teaching. Whereas if you focus more on the problem, or like, for instance, these are the 5 ways that you'll be able to get in better shape by summer.
Right.
One, like, and then give away something that has a good amount of value.
Mm-hmm.
Something that kind of relates back to training with you without giving away everything in the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, like, to your point, absolutely. One of the most important parts is getting them on your email list, because you don't own any of the stuff online and they can shut down your account and you lose everything, right? So you getting them from social media, or even if you're running paid ads, to an opt-in, a PDF of the problem, maybe even like some small workouts or whatever the case may be, so that you can get them onto your email list and you can start emailing them on a consistent basis. I personally email almost every day.
Me too. Yeah.
And people like, well, isn't that going to piss people off? Well, if it does and they leave, that's actually a benefit for me, right? That person probably wasn't going to purchase from me. And if they did, okay, so be it. So you might aggravate a few people, but the people that really want to stay will stay. They'll keep reading.
Yeah.
They'll keep
Yes.
reading, right? Especially if you're giving, and this is a key point of it.
It
So like
also
I tell,
I think on the technical side, Chris, if I'm correct, correct me. If I'm not correct, correct me. But when you scrub out your email list of all the non-responders, people who haven't like responded in months, or who are let's call it bad contacts. When you remove them from your contact list, it improves your deliverability,
absolutely.
right? Is
And your
that's
open
true, right?
rates.
Okay,
Yeah. And
okay,
your click
yeah,
through rates.
right, okay,
Yeah. Which is only going to help you, because like, if you're sending out, if you have 1,000 people on your list and only 100 people are opening, your deliverability is going to tank, right? You
yeah,
don't want all of those people not opening. You want them to go to leave, right?
right, right,
And that goes back to what you were saying before about the polarization. It's like, you have to take a stand, I feel like, in whatever you're doing, that will attract the perfect customers and repel the people who are not going to purchase with you. When you're in that middle area of like lukewarm and you don't want to like kind of ruffle feathers or take a
mm-hmm.
stance, you wind up talking to nobody, right? So it's important that you understand. And this is another key thing that we tell everybody in our programs, that when we coach people on how to make videos and stuff like that, you really have to know your audience. Like, you really have to know what makes them tick. What is the driving force of why they so essentially everybody has one or two main, you want to call them avatars or whatever, one or two
Yes.
main audiences, right? What makes them tick? Why are they training with you? What do they love? What do they dislike? And I feel like a lot of business owners don't take enough inventory in that. And it's really easy to do because you could survey them, you can call them, you could have conversations with them. You could even take some of them to lunch, right? We have it like a lunch in the thing.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah. And understand really what makes them tick. So we used to do an exercise with like Krav Maga schools. And they would always, there was one guy, I remember this story where we were like, I want you to really probe a couple of customers of why they come to you in the first place. So he got, and I said, and I don't want you to stop asking why until they really kind of peel back the onion. And so one woman was like, well, I want to learn how to defend myself. And he's like, okay, that's great, but why? And she's like, well, really, truthfully, I want to get in better shape after I had the two kids. My body isn't just the way it was, and I want to feel better. And he's like, but why? And she's like, I have a dress that I really want to fit into. And he's like, but why? And so she stopped, and he's like, but why do you want to fit in that dress? She's like, I want my husband to look at me the way he used to. That's the real driving force behind why she's training.
She feels a very low self-confidence because she's not getting that affection from the person that she loves.
And now when you know that, you can position your marketing around stuff like that. Now, if that becomes a common thread between a couple of people, you know that. And
it's one of the most common threads in here, man, for sure.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And you know, the key point of this is, and I tell all of my customers and my clients, like, probe, ask as many questions as possible, kind of really dive into why they're doing what they're doing with you. Because when you get the actual feedback, that stuff becomes the copy in your marketing. Make a spreadsheet, write down the comments that they say. That's your marketing.
That's great. I love that. And that's why.
Did we freeze?
No,
I thought we froze for a second. Okay.
I got you. We might have. I saw a little glitch, but sometimes I see, that's why doing video testimonials at the let's say, I don't know, like you just did a big, if for a martial arts studio, maybe like after a big ranking, where like you had a couple people make, purple belts or something like that. It's like, get those people on a video right away. It's like, hey, could you do me a favor, come over and film something, and they let them talk freely. When we do testimonial videos at the end of our challenges or for like our client of the month, our goal is to get a testimonial from every client of the month. We do test client of the year, things like that. We have some milestones. At those milestones, we like to ask for a little brief statement. And I just set up a video camera and I kind of have a couple, let's call it loaded questions. And I just let them talk, right? And then you could take all that verbiage and you'll find enough marketing in there for like, 20 emails for sure.
An outstanding amount.
Yeah, an outstanding amount. And I think, you hit the nail on the head with, I see a lot of, people just trying to get stuff out and not really speaking to anybody but themselves, in a sense, like you said about the gym owner teaching. He's like, I'm going to teach you, here, I'm going to teach you how to do a dumbbell incline row or something like that. And it's like, well, who the hell are you speaking to? It's like, I don't know who cares about that, but there's a bunch of people who do, but there's way more people who don't.
Right.
Instead of saying something to the effect of like, hey, if you want to get rid of that muffin top, that's driving you crazy, with summer only being 3 weeks away, here's 3 of my favorite exercises for burning fat, right? Something like that. And it's like, and it's a little bit more concise to what you're talking about and who you're talking about, as opposed to like, let me just show you this cool exercise that, I can't think of nothing else to market. So I'm going to film something because I know I have to get something out on social media, but I'm just going to put whatever out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so for instance, if you're Joe D and your market is people who want to see that's great, right?
Yes,
but if you're a gym and most of the people that are coming to you are like 35 and up moms, that's not going to connect at what you said would connect a lot easier and a lot better than just showing, hey, these are like my eccentric, whatever the case may be. But absolutely. One other key point that I always try to talk about when it comes to making videos that are going to connect with people is finding out like whenever you're making a video, understanding like who are you speaking to, what are you trying to say, and what do you want them to do at the end of the video? I don't think people spend enough
Yeah, what's
time.
that call to action, right?
Yeah, in the pre-production phase of like, what am I trying to do? Right. Then, like you said, I think that people know they need to use video, but they're just so kind of lost in what to do. They just put together any video and throw it up and be like, hey, there you go, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna, it's gonna hit home and it's gonna connect with people. So it's important to understand and have some sort of process of what I'm trying to do, who am I trying to speak it to, and what do I want them to do at the end of this video.
Yeah. I always start with that. That's usually the first thing that I write down. So let's say I'm going to write, like I just got done writing a short but sweet Father's Day campaign for a special Father's Day, gift package, right? And I always start with the very first thing is, what's the end goal? Like ultimately, what do I want people to do with this message, right? And it's, schedule a call with a coach to, get them in for an intake, right? So they can start this program. And so you kind of build your thought process around that end goal, right? And do you find like, so in a good social media, it's hard to tell what's good social media anymore because I think again, I look at some people, everybody's doing it differently. Like you look at influencers who maybe like that are like famous, I don't know, like Charlie DeMeo or like this Livy Dunn, and people like that, where it's mostly just like, pretty girls like doing silly stuff, right? Um, there's not a lot of selling. So like again, for a business like mine, what do you think is a ratio between like content and asking? Like, is there a magic formula or what do you think?
I find that social media itself is really outreach and paid ads is asking, right? So
Okay.
that's how I like to utilize it. Like social media itself, I'll throw up an ask post in the sense of sales and whatnot. But if I really want to sell, I'll let the paid ad algorithm
Okay.
really find who is trying to buy, right? And then I use my social channels to kind of just create awareness
Sure.
of who we are, what we do, how we know the problem to your issues, and like kind of like that. And because that's what I especially now, like this is the one thing that I've been testing out myself too, and I know a lot of people who are using it, and it's working really good. Reels, short form content, are prioritized to show to people who don't know you. So like TikTok, I feel like TikTok demographic is definitely outside of my world. Maybe I'm maybe I'm a little bit too old for it, but I
It's
know,
for my adult population, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for the kids, it could definitely be something. But IG and Facebook, where I think a lot of gym owners are spending a bulk of their time, the reels are so posts in your feed are meant for people who know you to
Right, to
see.
follow you to see. Right,
Right.
exactly.
The reels are meant for people who don't know you to see. And you could, if you get a good reel going and you get, it kind of goes viral, you'll get an extraordinary amount of follows out of that one reel. So also too, what I've been testing myself is to try to do more reels on a consistent basis, right? The more times that you post these reels, and let me tell you, it's not easy to come up with the ideas. It takes time to edit, to film it, and all that stuff.
Sure.
But it's definitely outreach in the sense that they become assets, kind of what blogs used to be 15 years ago, right?
Sure.
One of my side businesses, Dojo Muscle.
Mhm.
We have grown to one of the top spots in SEO from simply something that I learned from Tim Ferriss a long time ago was like just write blogs on a consistent basis, put them up there. They might not do good today, but we have blogs that are still ranking 10 years later, right? So they're assets that live in
In
cyberspace,
the algorithm somewhere.
right?
Right. Okay.
Somewhere. Versus paid ads need to definitely be, especially for local markets. And this is what we've seen. And this is why we have a program that helps people with this. But paid ads need to be refreshed. You burn through audiences in a local market or even a national market fairly quickly. At some point, the creative starts to fatigue and you need to refresh the creative to something new.
Right. And now you're heavy on the video side of things, but we see, at least on my end, and maybe it's because the video quality is not what it would be with yourself, but like but we've seen like the better responses coming from in paid ads specifically, not in organic reach and organic social media. 100% the reels do better and they get a lot more reach. But in our paid ads, it seems like a great still picture. Nothing beats a smiley, happy female, that looks like she's having a great time in the gym, or high-fiving another member, or hugging a coach and flexing or something like that. What's your experience there? I mean, versus pictures versus video for ads specifically.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. Sometimes pictures do work good. Sometimes they do work better than video. But I also found that in doing tests, I guess, and not to pat myself on the back, doing tests with the process that we use with video, because it has a combination of user generated and high quality video together, they always outperform the pictures.
You almost give yourself 90%. A little pat on the back, dude. I mean, come on. You work your ass off.
That goes back. Yeah, dude, that goes back to
a little pat.
So that's a big pat. That goes back to having the correct process in place. So
you're saying a high quality photo versus a high quality video, the video is going to win 9 times out of 10.
I feel like, yes, at this point, a high quality video, at least in the process that we use, has outperformed pictures. We've gotten lower costs, higher conversions, and also too, the other issue. Now, if the picture is yours, great. But I know that when people run ads from their ad agencies and stuff like that, what happens?
Oh yeah, using generic pictures. No,
they're using Canva ads, and they dilute your brand. It's not really speaking about.
No, we've never ever used a picture that wasn't ours.
Yeah. So the one thing that I would say that sometimes, and this goes back to pattern interrupts again, is that sometimes when you use images, there's so much video being put out that the image now becomes different than a video, right? So that might be, and then the other thing too is that I know images load faster in the sense of, like, if people are on cellular data, videos don't load as fast. So images do pop up, I think, easier on the feed and on phones and stuff like that. But there's no real rhyme or reason to certain things. Like sometimes a video that I think will perform great doesn't perform great. And sometimes that I think that a video that's not going to perform great performs great, and vice versa, right? So everything, when you boil it down, it has to do with a lot of testing. You have to test.
What are you recommending on YouTube in terms of our ad budget, here is at this point ginormous.
Yeah.
And I mean, without going on a limb here, I'm spending probably 50, 60K a year here in this one building. On the agency, on everything marketing. Let's go. My marketing ad spend is probably like closer to 60K right now.
Okay.
And then the other gyms, they kind of ebb and flow. They're a lot smaller, so they reach capacity a lot faster. So once they reach capacity, you can drop the ad spend down quite a bit. But we start off at about 5,000 a month, 6,000 a month for the first 6 months to launch them out, get about 25, 30K into the ad spend. Is YouTube similar to that, or is it more like kind of slow, steady simmer? I could put it on for $10 a day and let it simmer for long periods of time. Like, what do you think is?
I'll be honest with you.
We do not do YouTube ads, but maybe I will.
Step back from YouTube ads.
Okay.
I'm not using YouTube ads anymore. I used them for a while. We used them on a few different projects. They worked well on some projects and not well on others. I find that, like, most of the audience that I feel like certain things, like you're selling a course, you're selling a product, right? Like a buying product.
Yes.
That works great on YouTube. But for like services, like gym services and everything, I feel like Facebook and Instagram is really the meat and potatoes right now.
It makes sense because, I mean, the reality is that, and we talk about this all the time because, like, I've gone to like some huge marketing, workshops and masterminds and stuff like that. And one of my absolute favorite guys is Donald Miller, right? Story Brand. Right? I
Mhm.
love his stuff. Love his business stuff too. I think he's great. But I went down to do his Story Brand workshop, right, in Nashville, and it was amazing, right? And I think, um, I was at a table full of guy. I was the only service guy at a table. Each table was kind of like its own little breakout room, and I was the only service guy there. Everybody else was a product guy. They were selling something, right? Selling a product, right? And their ad spend was A, lower, and B, their reach was like what their sales were off the charts. And they're like, "Oh, wow, you should be selling, you should with 50,000, you should be generating, X amount of dollars in business." And I said, "Well, there's one thing that you're not taking into account." I said, I got to get people to a space.
Right.
You're selling an air conditioner, right? And it's like, are you hot? Do you want to cool down this summer? And you're selling air conditioners in fucking Texas. Yeah, everybody needs an Texas. Yeah, like it's fucking hot. I need a goddamn air conditioner. I'm gonna die here, right? Where it's like, hey, Chris, you really want to lose that 25 pounds, man. It's like you got to come to the gym at 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We really got to get you off the booze. You got to, hey, you got to get some better sleep. You got, it's like, and then people are like, whoa, bro, pump the brakes. like, don't you have a pill for that? Isn't there something I can do? The gym thing is wrapped around a whole bunch of lifestyle habits and, staring at the asshole in the mirror, giving yourself a pep talk 4 or 5 times a week.
Right. And besides just that, there's also taken into consideration the actual application of converting those leads. Like, for instance, if I'm selling a course, right? They go to the landing page, they read the landing page, they're either going to decide they're going to buy it or they're not going to buy it, right? For a gym, they got to sign up for an assessment or a trial. Then now you have to also keep them on the hook long enough for them to actually get their ass in the car and come to the gym, right? And now you got to go
constantly to get them to that first assessment. Yep.
Exactly. Now you got to go through the paces of, okay, you work them out, you assess them. Now we're going to pitch them and try to close them. Well, a lot of gyms do very well when the person shows up, but a good portion of people, they're in dopamine dump. They click on the link. They're all, I'm going. And then it comes in time to do the appointment. They don't show up. The other thing too is, you're working off of, like, so I sell a course for $100 or even $500, right? Let's just say off the bat, they come to the page, they click the link, they like it, they don't like it. Maybe I follow up with some emails, I give them a free giveaway, whatever. They buy it, they don't buy it. Okay. But for you guys, you have lifetime value, right? So it's not just a matter of them buying, they're buying and it's a monthly, subscription or monthly recurring fee.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more entailed in that 50,000, where your lifetime value is going to be considerably higher than somebody buying the air conditioner, which is $300, and that's it. Maybe they come back for filters.
Right. Yeah. My goal, obviously, our goal is to get them here for years.
Exactly.
And it could be, if our average price point here is about $400 a month, so you figure if you get somebody in for 10 years. Right. That's a serious, that's a pretty darn good. That's a $50,000 client, that they spent in that period of time.
If they stay for 10 years, literally your entire budget for that year is paid for.
Correct.
Right.
So, again, I look at it with a grain of salt, but my point was that, products are mostly a whim of, do you want it or not? Right. And where, fitness, jujitsu, which I know you're a big fan. We talk about that in a minute, but, require a tremendous amount of discipline and commitment and a lot of other factors that are more intrinsically emotional than they are, just, financial, tangible, you know what I mean?
And logistically.
Right. I want a dope pair of shoes. Right. Well, yeah, everything can be sent to you too. Like, I see a hot new pair of Nike Maxes. I'm like, boom, I want those. Done. They show up at my door in 2 days, right? Where it's like, oh, I just joined that gym and man, it's freezing today. I don't feel like going. God, January sucks in Jersey, So talk a little bit about the products and service that you offer. I know that you obviously have like a full video creation, but I know you run a lot of courses and education courses. So talk a little bit about the different segments of your business, Chris.
So essentially, we have hyper focused in the last couple of months to focus on two main things. One, we have Pixel Mob, which is, if anybody wants to check out the site, it's PIXELMOBB, two B's, like mobdeep.com.
Love
That's our high level video production digital agency where we, do full projects with people. And now, over the last 5 years, we have this program running, and it's really done outstanding for people. It's called Pixel Mob Media. It's PIXELMOBB Media, MEDIA.com. And essentially, it is a program where we coach you. So there's a starter package where the starter package comes with 3 campaigns. We coach you on the ideas of those 3 campaigns. We coach you on how to film those. You send it to us. Our team will edit it for you and give you back those 3 campaigns. Those are the campaigns that we've seen work outstanding for people. And ironically, a lot of it is built around testimonials. So when you were saying that before, that's one of the key points of the backbone of our process. And we've done this for gyms, jiu-jitsu schools, MMA schools, Pilates, cheer, dentists, coaches, Navy SEALs, mindset coaches, pest control. So it basically works. The process works for any type of business. And that's what we've been focused on heavily right now is that those 2 programs.
That's awesome. And I saw you recently were running something. I pinged a friend of mine because I thought it would be perfect for them. Fire my ad guy.
Ad guy workshop. Yeah.
Was that just a separate workshop? Was that part of the Pixel Mob Media kind of family?
So essentially we did it we did it about 2 weeks ago and went off outstanding. It was really good. I might do it again in June as a live workshop, but the foundation behind it is, at this point, ads are so automated that most gyms can run their own ads. Most of the focus really needs to be on the actual creative, the messaging, the videos that you put out to the world. That's really, so what we were seeing is people are starting to pull away some of their ad budget and their agency budget to focus on actual creation and creativity, because that's the front, that's the actual tip of the spear. That's showing up in court or a job interview in a suit and not in sweatpants, right? So what we're finding is a lot more people, and even agencies themselves, are starting to switch their model towards the creative is the most important, because targeting now became automated. Like Facebook is doing most of the finding for you. We're seeing that most of the ads that we run are open targeting, like literally no targeting. You put down a pin around the gym, 7 miles, and that's it.
Yeah.
That is it. So the focus really,
so you're paying your agency to do something that you technically could just do yourself.
And they're charging you, $1,000, $1,500, where you could take that and put it towards the creative. Now you actually have assets that you could use forever.
Right.
So that's a big deal. And those programs have really changed the way a lot of these business owners have thought about marketing.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. And it's great that, again, I've been on a few of your workshops and in your private Facebook group for a while, and I know Chris always puts a tremendous amount of free usable information, and I've used tons of your tips for shooting videos and things like that, and I think it's fantastic. What do you have to say? I posted an Instagram post a week or so, 2 ago, and about quantity versus quality on your marketing ads and social media. I find that the majority of gym owners are spending their entire mindset when they think about marketing, they think social media, and they're not thinking about marketing as, a system. They're thinking about marketing as just I just got to get some stuff up on social media, right? So I always say I thought, quantity matters more than quality in the beginning when you're just getting started, just to to get your ideas out, because I think so many people get paralyzed by just, I got to create this perfect post. It's like, no, just get some shit out at first. Get a habit of, let's call it a schedule, where you're going to post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday religiously or something like that, right? Whatever it's going to be. Get on a schedule, and then as you get a little bit better at it, you kind of start to improve the quality over time. I mean, I get, maybe this is kind of a loaded question to ask the ads guy, but like, cause it's like, we'll start doing quality stuff right from the beginning. But if like most gyms, they just don't have the money, right? They just don't have the money to hire a video company and stuff like that. So when does quality start to really matter a lot more? And like, when is a good time, like, to take the plunge and spend that money?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the reasoning behind our Pixel Mob Media program is that we knew most businesses are not going to have $25,000 to have us come and film every month, right?
Right.
So we needed to come up with something that's affordable for people and will also help them learn the process. So to your question, when quality matters is when they get the consistency down, meaning when they're regular posting and they have a flow and they understand their market. Now the next step is to, level up. Like, so for instance, if we're training jujitsu, you buy the gi that they give you. Right. And you get your white belt and you start going and start going and start going, right? And your white belt starts getting tattered and your gi starts to get ripped a little bit. Okay, now you start to upgrade. But a lot of these people, a lot of people that we've seen in the entrepreneurial world, they'll go buy all this equipment, not know how to use any of it. It sits around and then they're like, well, and it makes them feel even worse because they have stuff, they're not using it. I find that consistency is, it's the same thing with training, like training, whether it's jujitsu or lifting. It's really not about individual day-to-day workouts. It's more about how many times you show up that week, right? And there's some days and some weeks I might be injured and I can't really, I can't pull heavy weight that day, but I'm still going to get in the gym and do something. I'm still going to move the needle. I'm going to still move the chains down the field. So to your point, when I commented on that, once they are consistent, right? Once they are like sending out 5 emails a week, once they have a post pattern and they're posting X amount of things online every week and they're reaching out. And this is another thing too, and I'm sure that you see this, we've generated a lot of leads for people. And then people will come to us and be like, well, we're not really getting signups. I'm like, okay, so when are you contacting the leads? They're like, well, we sometimes contact them 2 weeks later. What? I'm like, 2 weeks later, they forgot who you were.
Yeah. They
right?
bought it. They already joined another gym.
Exactly. I'm like, you got to be right on it, right?
Yeah.
So that's a key component. So once you're consistent and once you're showing up, once you come in a jujitsu class, then it's time to upgrade your gear a little. It's time to upgrade your gear a little bit.
And like, let's call it boots on the ground marketing, right? Like, I've always, now I'm old, right? So there was none of this crap.
Wait, how old are you?
I'll be 47 this month. Today's
I'm
the first
48,
day.
so I'm older than you. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, June 30th.
Okay.
For anybody who's listening, you can send gifts to Varsity House. And but I was always big. Like, I didn't understand marketing at all when I started my business, right? From 96 when I started training people, 95, I trained my first person for money. And then since then I started the first rendition of Varsity House, which was called Fit Dynamics in like 2000 or something like that, right? I didn't know anything about marketing. I would literally just like make up flyers, post them on cars, do stuff like that. Like, in the realm of marketing for like startup gyms, how important do you think it is to still get out in the community and stuff? Like, because again, things have just gone so far digital where like I see gym owners who have a community business and have good memberships. Like, let's say you have 100 members and they don't do anything in the community. Like, there's nothing. It's just, I got to get more social media posts. I got to make more time, How do you feel about that type of stuff?
I mean, Dojo Muscle, our dojomuscle.com, we've been selling print marketing for 13 years. It's still one of the best ROIs.
And how so? Like, what type of print? Like direct mailer?
So the post office has this thing called EDDMs, right? Yep. So you could pick an area and send a mailer to every individual mailbox in that area. Sometimes we find that they work really good for the suburbs. Not so great for city area because it's like you literally you use up your 1,000 or 2,000 cards in such a small radius.
Right.
But
Like two buildings.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the suburban areas work great. Rack cards, like old school marketing. I still
Hmm.
believe in guerrilla marketing. I think it's one of the best ways to get, you find places that are local to you,
Yep.
swap out rack cards, right? Trial cards, give
Tell me
them
what a
out to
rack
every.
card is. What's a rack card?
Rack card is like a 4x9 card that stands upright, and it's in a little plastic thing. You could put them near registers.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Rack card. Exactly. With like a little deal in it, it could take a card for a deal or
Exactly.
something like that. QR
Um,
codes are making that a lot easier now too. People could just scan a QR code.
QR codes are yeah, it's funny too, because like QR codes were a big thing maybe like 7 years ago. And then the problem was back then you had to have an individual app. So
Right.
people
Like a
weren't
QR
download.
scanner. Right.
Now, yeah, now it's all part of the phone. Trial cards, give them to everybody in your gym and have them give them out to their friends. Like these
Yeah.
things,
Yeah. Yeah.
we still get people buying for martial arts schools. We still get people buying pizza box toppers where they
Right.
connect with a pizza company, put their coupons, and put them on top of the pizza box. It still works, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in a digital age, they said for a while, oh, the Nook and iPad's going to shut down Barnes and Noble. Book sales keep going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
People love. I read books all the time. Like,
No, I got a whole book. I sit and read books.
yeah, me
That.
too.
Yeah, I like to
People
read.
still love that tangible stuff, and especially
Yes.
the EDDMs, which make them powerful. Is that if you make a big card and the card's the biggest one, they have to take it out of their mailbox. They have to hold it in their hand to throw it out, right? Whereas you go through your email and you're like, delete, delete, delete. I'm not even open half these things. I see them. They're all promos,
Yeah.
promos.
Yeah.
So while social media is the easier way, that guerrilla marketing, I think, is still the foundation for a lot of gyms. And they
So
don't use it.
what's your secret sauce on a mailer though? Give me some tips, tricks, and tools for a good mailer.
Okay. So first, the front of the mailer. Actually, I wish I had one. I It's in the closet, but I'll actually send you some samples after
Okay.
this. Um, the front of it, always something that's super eye catching, right? Draws the person in, and almost like a movie poster with a title of something that piques their interest. On the back, benefits and features, 2 testimonials, a QR code, an offer, and then the address and where they can
The call
contact
to
you.
action. Yeah.
Yeah,
Click, scan the QR code to schedule your first assessment or something. Yeah.
absolutely. I just had somebody purchase like 10,000 on their second run like a couple days
And you
ago.
recommend doing them big, like oversized, like full paper size or something like that. So
I recommend them 6.5 by 12,
okay.
either
Okay. So long and
vertical or
skinny.
horizontal. They're
Okay.
they're like this big. You can't
Yep.
miss them in the
Yep.
mailbox.
And when you do that direct mail, you're not putting it in an envelope. You're just sending it as the
Just send them.
as the card itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that works is that the back of it
Yeah,
has
you have a little
in,
space for the
the little.
postage, right? Yeah.
Not even, because the EDDMs have like these insignias that you just print on them, and they
Oh,
don't.
okay.
And you could. That's the other thing too, is that when you're running mailers that have to go to email lists or mailing lists, you have to have the back non-gloss because they have to print on them with the Bose print machine, the Pitney Bowes machine. You don't have to have any of that, so both sides could be full gloss.
Oh, nice.
All you do is you go to the EDDM site, you pick out your zip code, it tells you how much, and then when you get your batch of prints, you just bundle them up, stick post-it notes with the little postal code in the back, rubber band them, drop them off at the post office.
Yeah, and we looked into it. We've never done it. I've done the mailers that we do, and they do work. They're a smolder. I'm always a student of marketing, and I love when I get a great marketing piece in the mail. I get excited. My wife jokes because she's now after 15 years, she saves them for me because she knows I want to see it. Right? She's
So do
like,
I.
I think
I save them. I have a
right.
box full of them.
She's like, I didn't throw this out because I knew you'd want to see it. And Anderson Windows does some great ones, right? You get like a full thing and it's like top secret on it, all this stuff, or it says, super, it might have some, or a lot of times they'll shadily, it'll look like it's handwritten, like it'll say like Joe Riggio on there, right? Now open up, and it's like a handwritten note. It's like, hey, I'm Bob. I'm the local, chief operating officer for Anderson Windows. If you're thinking about renewing your windows, doors, and siding, blah, 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 and it gives you like a cool little promo. So we've copied some of those and we send them to, new home buyers. So a lot of the local chambers, right? So a lot of local chambers, business chambers in local towns or communities will they collect those new home buyers and they'll give them out to their chamber members. So I have like 4 or 5 chambers that we're in, and they'll send me the new home buyers, and we focus on that. And I'll send them like a nice little welcome like package, with a letter and a little bit of like a deal in there. But we package it up and actually mail those. So they, that might be in the tune of about 100. So, figure $50, 100 a month, $50 on marketing. It's not an expensive thing. But in my case, because like you said, with that lifetime client value, if I get one person to pop,
Right.
that's a $4,000, $5,000 client. So it's totally
It
worth the
pays
time
for
and
everything.
energy. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I love that though. I love the movie poster idea. I think doing something cool like that would be, you pick like like a Mother's Day, something that's like an impactful moment. It's like, hey, this one's for the moms, and you have like a cool, like, I don't know, I'm thinking like a super mom kind of silhouette or something like that.
Yeah, we were actually done something similar for a gym. They did like superheroes.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
send you some links to show
Yeah,
you
cool. I'd
what.
love to see that. I'd love to see that. All right, let's talk about jujitsu a little bit. So, you talked about it a little bit, one of your products and one of your companies, Dojo Muscle. I know you're personally into jujitsu. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The working with jujitsu schools or doing the jujitsu?
So no, I started training jujitsu. So I've boxed since a kid, and I've trained Muay Thai, and then um so to take it really full circle, after 9/11, after I lost, my career and job, and I decided to go back to school, I
Hmm.
was like struggling. So I had a friend in the New York, New Jersey nightlife scene, which I met my wife in one of the clubs. Um, we met down in Surf Club and like
Nice.
in Sound Factory and whatever. Friend of mine was like, I need club flyers. So I was like, okay, cool. So I started doing like hundreds of club flyers just to keep my lights on and whatnot. And at the time I was like, this is terrible. I'm like, I'm late 20s. I'm not doing what I really want to be doing, whatever, in terms of finances or whatever. But that education actually became direct marketing.
Mm.
So I started to train jujitsu, and my coach at the time was like, I need some mailers. I need some cards to hand out to. Can you make me one?
And this was just a little side hobby, like while you were
Totally. Yes.
pre 9/11, were you still doing any type of graphic design and stuff like that?
None. None. I've
Zero.
always, so since a kid, I've been an excellent artist, right? My mom has been pushing me forever. Like I was winning
But
contests
like a
against,
hand artist.
yeah, like a hand artist, but I really didn't get into graphic design until I went back to school. My mom was always pushing me to be creative. I was like, yeah, yeah. I was like finance and
Right. The money's in the money in a
the
sense.
money's in the money, right? So I'm training, and he's like, I need some cards. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll put together some cards for you. He looked at him. He was like, these were excellent, bro. And he's like, I showed my buddy and he wants a set. Can you give him a set? I was like, yeah, because we have because of the print for the clubs, I developed a long-term relationship with a print house. So we get super great prices, for
Mhm.
printing and everything. And we still use them since 2006. So he's like, I showed him to my other buddy and he wants them. Before I knew it, I had like 5 people who wanted these cards. And he's like, why don't you just create a site? And I was like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. Put together the site, and it literally took off. And then in 2014, we started in 2012. And in 2014, I came up with an idea called Ninja Focus, which was it was off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was for
Mhm.
kids martial arts. And I had this idea because we were doing video. I was like, let me create a video trailer that sells these print marketing. And it did like $23,000 in a weekend. And I was
Oh
hooked. That was like
shit.
right around the time that I was learning from Hanley about this online marketing stuff. So I tested it out. I got it working, and Dojo Muscle become like one of the top, martial arts print marketing. And we've done lots of like template videos over the years. We've
Mhm.
done really well with that side business. But yeah, it was all from training, like just training, being on the mat, and them saying,
Right.
I need this stuff. So we saw a need. I saw a need. I filled it, and we were off to the races.
So that's awesome, man. And so how long have you been doing BJJ now?
This is my 12th to 13th year. I
Oh,
take
wow.
out the pandemic because the pandemic, I stopped training for about a year and a half.
Okay.
We were training like in my friend's garage and stuff like that. And it is but yeah, I'm a mid-level purple belt, probably should be a brown belt, but one of my schools closed down. I don't know what I am, but I've been training a long time, and my
It
joints
doesn't
can
really
tell
even
you.
matter.
Yeah.
It's the passion and the practice, it's doing that. And what about and you're also, I know you're into the left, and I know you were doing one of Joe D's programs, his rebuilt program. You helped him put that whole product together.
Yeah, so we produced the entire product. I did all of the ads, all of the funnels, pretty much everything to facilitate the launch of it and then the management of it. That did excellent. It really, and it's funny too,
It's a
like
great
when we
program.
yeah, I did the program last spring and I got jacked and shredded from it. And it's a great program because at the end of the day, you don't really feel beat up. Like when you're done
Yeah.
with it, you're right. So that is definitely an excellent program. Yeah, we had fun with that. And what's funny about that is like everything, the filming of it, we didn't really have any plan outside of like the trailer or anything. We just, I would say like that whole shoot was serendipity. It all just came together.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, look, Joe's done it for a long time, so the knowledge is
Yeah.
top of mind, and he's done a really nice job. Give Joe DeFranco, for the people who are listening, a little bit of props for really, I don't know, transforming himself. He's really done a really great job of going from that NFL athlete, super combine coach, to being the man's coach, and now helping a lot of the 40 plus demographic like us. And I think he does a great job. So what what's big on the horizon? What's Pixel Mob working on right now? Like, what are some big projects you got going on now? Anything you could disclose? Any big?
So right now, the biggest thing that we're focused on is the Pixel Mob media. I've pretty much laser
Is,
focused
is
on.
this run like a mastermind? Is it kind of like, is it, or it's you have specific start dates? How does it work?
No, so it's we want people to come in to, so the way that it works is that you come in, you purchase a starter package. The starter
Hmm.
package has 3 campaigns that we
Hmm.
we
So that.
conceptualize with you, coach you on how to film anything that you're filming in it. We've had somebody rent DeLoreans because they wanted to do a Back to the Future thing. It came out really awesome. And then each campaign, every shoot, you send us the footage.
Hmm.
We create the assets for you and we give them to you, and then you can
Okay.
run them as ads and everything. And we stay on. Um, we have people in the program since 2009. Like, and then
Oh,
after
okay.
that, after you do the starter package, you could go month to month if you want to create videos and have us edit them for you, because editing is a big part, is a big time
Yes.
suck, right?
Yes.
Um, and then on top of it, having the guidance and the coaching of what ideas will resonate. Let's find out what really your audience resonates with, and then helping you guide the filming process. Because that's the other thing is we find that when people are filming their own stuff, they don't really make decisions, right? So they wind up filming everything and kind of wind up filming nothing at the same time. And they
Yeah, it makes
then at
sense.
the end of it, when they have 100 clips, now they're sitting in the editing program and they're like, oh man, there's 100 clips here. I got to go through 100 clips, right?
Right. I don't even know where to start. Yeah.
Right. So we make the process very succinct and easy to follow. And then we take a lot of the heavy lifting off their shoulders, but we take our crew has been doing this forever. We
Right.
edit it up and send them back to you. And it's amazing because some people have come into this program and have never filmed anything. And the stuff that they're releasing now looks like professional quality.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, look, man, the new phones are. They,
Outstanding.
yeah, and if you want to go up from here, you get yourself even a reasonably cheap, $1,000
DSLR. Yeah.
DSLR
Yeah.
camera is gonna film like, even it's 10 times better than this,
Yeah.
so it's wild what you can do now. Where that same camera, like I said, 5, 6 years ago, cost 3 grand,
Yeah. And
or
it's crazy.
more.
Like half the people in the program are filming with their iPhones.
Yeah, we pretty much do everything with the iPhone just because it's the easiest, and I can, it's always with me. So whenever I have an idea to do something, I can just bang it out and make it
Yeah.
happen. And then a lot of it, like you said, can be touched up, doctored up, brightened up, fixed up in post production,
Yeah.
and cleaned up nice. That's awesome. I love it. So, Chris, just give everybody the the best way to contact and do business with you? How do they get in touch with Pixel Mob?
Yeah, so you can find me on social media, Chris Perilli at IG and Christopher Perilli at Facebook. If you want to contact me, it's info@pixelmob, PIXELMOBB, mob deep kind of .com, pixelmob.com. And if you want to check out the program that we have running, it's called Pixel Mob Media, pixelmobmedia.com. It will definitely help you raise the level on, especially if you're running video ads. These are outstanding to run video ads with.
Chris, this has been amazing. I have learned a ton, and I took like 3 pages of notes of tips, tricks, and tools to utilize for our own social media marketing. And for everybody listening, if you want to take your video media and video production, social media, and your ad game to another level, I highly suggest you contact Mr. Chris and his team over at Pixel Mob and give it a go. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today, Chris. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Joe. I appreciate it, man.
Awesome, brother. We'll catch you next time.